Thank you. My name is Cedric Frolic. I'm the co-chairperson of the ad hoc committee that has been tasked by Parliament to look into the impact that the floods that has taken place in April have had in the provinces of KwaZulu-Natal, the Eastern Cape, and the Northwest Province. I am joined by my co-chairperson, the Honourable Nyambi, who is the House Chairperson in the NCOP, and jointly we are responsible to ensure that the oversight visits take place and all other processes associated with it. There's some more chairs here in front also, to the left. It reminds me, Mayor, of church, that when people come to church, they don't like to sit right next to the preachers because they think the preacher is going to preach about them. So they fill up from the back. So if there's anyone without a seat, please come to the left or right. We do have sufficient seating here in front.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Basic.
Here to the left and to the right. There's 3 seats here. Okay, thank you very much. Let us proceed with the meeting. I want to make use of the opportunity to thank the local political leadership of the municipality of Port St. John's that is present here with Worship the Mayor, as well as the Chief Whip of the Council and Speaker. So we have the Troika here. Thank you very much for receiving us. I also want to recognize the Speaker from the OR Tambo District Municipality on my right-hand side who has joined us, as well as any other mayor or deputy mayor or speaker or chief whips from other municipalities that are also here. Our work is defined in the House resolution that was adopted by both Houses of Parliament. We started our work last week when we were in KwaZulu-Natal over the previous weekend, and also here in the Eastern Cape since yesterday, where we received a briefing from the Honourable MEC of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs. We were also joined yesterday, I understand he is on his way, by the chairperson of the Standing Committee on COGTA, and we also have an honourable member of the legislature that's here with us. This is a multi-party delegation with very important work to do. We are not on a fault-finding mission. We are coming to see in real time, real terms, what the situation is post the flooding that has occurred and how it has affected the municipalities and the local people. We are also quite keen and interested to hear of the efforts that has been made by both the municipality and also the provincial government on their work in the area, and if any assistance in whatever form has been forthcoming from any national department that we are part of. We're getting a good idea in terms of observations that is quite common as to what is happening in KwaZulu-Natal and also here in the Eastern Cape now. So we want you, Honourable Mayor, and also the representatives, speakers from other municipalities in this area to be quite frank and honest with us. Right? We are not blaming anyone for the natural disaster that is taking place. What is under our control is our response from the side of the 3 spheres of government to respond to what has happened. Our task then is to make certain findings and recommendations on what the national government should do to improve the situation or to accelerate the rollout of other services that is required. The approach in the meeting will thus be that we will first give the political leadership an opportunity to make an input, supported of course by the officials, if necessary, that are there. And then we'll go also to the other municipalities that are here that has prepared their presentations for us. I also want to convey on behalf of the ad hoc committee our sincere condolences to the worship, the mayor from Port St. John's, who lost a mother a few days ago. May your soul rest in peace, and we wish you and the family God's speed and blessings in the difficult time that is ahead towards the funeral. But thank you for coming out of your period of mourning to receive us and to be present whilst we are here. We sincerely appreciate that. So we'll now proceed to the presentations that will be made, and I'll first ask Worship the Mayor from Port St. John's to start proceedings. Over to you, Your Worship.
Chairperson and the co-chairperson, honorable members present. I don't know, may I be granted permission to take off my mask? To be an orphan is something that is not easy. I'm still contemplating how difficult it is not to have a mother. But one has to move on. Greetings to all honorable members present from the Parliament, the Provincial Legislature, Oversight District Municipality, other municipalities present, officials from the August House, and officials from our local municipality. It's a pleasure for us and an honor to have you.
How it is. So we are looking forward that by your coming here, the smart city realization will not be a dream, but a reality. So we aspire to be that smart city. That is why we are saying destination of choice soon to be the smart city. It's a pity that the gentlemen are standing on where I think we need to flight our presentation, but I believe we'll use the space that we have. Would you mind, Pen, to put on the presentation?
A target of floods since time immemorial, since the 80s. The bridge that divides Port St. John's and the villages across, that is called Zimvubu Bridge, was once flooded and water overflowing over there. I think that was in 1987. So it's not something that has started now, but it's something that has been having periodical happenings. Maybe after 4 years, we experienced that. But we had these floods recently in 2019, but now we find that it's no longer the 4-year period, but it's getting lesser now, which means in 2 years' time we'll be experiencing such. As we have said, you can proceed. We are presenting on behalf of the municipality. It is just a pleasure to us to inform you that Port St. John's belongs in the category B, and it's under the district or Tambo, and we are having 20 wards that encompass 134 villages. So that means there are villages that go beyond Lusiki town when you go across to Sikisiki town, and then you will find villages that belong to Port St. So that's how vast our area is. So we are saying we are having 175,000 people on the record, which means we are contributing 11% to the population of our town. But the other summary again, it's something that you get. You can proceed then. As we have said, our vision is that we are the destination of choice that promotes inclusive economic growth. And our mission is that we must always be financially viable, and we are committed to provide quality services through good governance. That's our way of making sure that we respond to the challenges that our communities face. This table that we are giving gives a summary of the key service delivery backlogs that our municipality faces. On roads, the 1,320 kilometer stretch that we have that needs urgent attention, which when we make our assumptions and our predictions, it's around 600 million to take care of such. You'll remember again that the only third road that we have outside town, it's the one that goes to Silimela Hospital. We have two hospitals in Port St. John's, Silimela and Bambisana. Bambisana is on the other side of the river and Silimela is on this side. So it's on those roads that we are experiencing toughness. The road to Bambisana also looks like a third road, but I think it's best that it be taken down again to be a gravel, because there are a lot of challenges on it. So that's why when we talk about the road network, that we have that challenge. Port St. John's needs, it's not a joke, is having a backlog of 46 bridges. One might think we are overstating that. But when you talk about our Port St. John's, which is the destination of tourism, it is made up of rivers. Every village has a river. So those rivers, beautiful as they are giving the beauty that we always talk about, but they are a challenge to the lives, because school kids have to cross rivers. Wherever you go, you come across a river. And those bridges are ones, even the little ones that we have been washed away, some of them in Ward 1. You'll find that the bridge was there, but because of the heavy rains, it was washed away. So we have a backlog, literally, of 46 bridges. On sanitation, 12,951 households. And we also need that wastewater treatment works to be done. We have a challenge of water supply. Water is one of the challenges that we believe we need urgent attention. We know it's the competence of the district, but Port St. John's, the dam, the Zimfuku dam that is usually talked about, to us will solve a lot of challenges that we are facing. And on human settlements, our backlog is on that 26,200. Electricity, 9,846 connections. So we have also the challenge of the stormwater drainage. I'm sure you might have seen throughout the years, whenever we have floods, you will hear about Greens Farm. And that's where the challenge is, because at some stage, our municipality, because of the challenges, we had people who built their houses on top of the areas where the stormwater had to go. So we are facing such, and there are people whose houses are literally on a water based stormwater drainage system needs to be taken care of. Yes, we cleaned the drains before because we heard that the floods are coming, but you have to clean and end somewhere. On street lights also, we have our backlogs, and on new settlement development. You can proceed. The municipality, we would love to say that since 2016-17 financial year, on audit opinion, we received a qualified report. 2017-18 qualified, 18-19 qualified, 19-20 qualified, and 2020-2021 unqualified. So we believe it's proper that for Parliament to not hide that to you. So we are experiencing low levels of revenue base, taking into consideration that Port St. John's was a town that belonged to a few people, but now there are a lot of people around, and we have not yet developed to the extent that we are able to get more revenue. But we are surviving, and we are proud to say we are working on a funded budget. Yes, from the previous years up to 2018, the municipality adopted an unfunded budget. We turned the corner, and now we are proud to say that even in the budget we presented in council, the adoption of the IDPN budget that we presented on the 31st of May, we have a funded budget. So those are the things that we think make us to be proud of the developments that we are doing, minute as they might be. On disaster status quo, PSJ by nature, we are saying, is a seaport area. It is in the lowest area of the region. How I wish, Honorable Speaker and Honorable Chief, we can take them up to the airstrip so that they literally see what we are talking about. When you are on top of those two mountains in which you travel between, when you are on top there, which is our airstrip, you see where the town is. It tells you that it is on the sea level. Its topography and its mountainous nature, it's beautiful, but at times the landslides happen because of the way the area is. It's prone to floods because of the common rain that we always have, and we are not complaining. Umzimvubu River that is having a lot of sand in it, because we see an opportunity, honorable members, of SMMEs and all business sector benefiting from the sand that is overflowing in the river, because whenever there is rain, all the rivers, all coming from all the regions, they come to this ocean of ours, and they leave a lot of sand, which at times becomes a deterrent for the water to flow normally, and then it makes the water to come to the walls of the road. You will see at the entrance of the town that the road you travel in, it's day by day getting devoured by the river. And one day we won't be able to get out of town because the river is eating on the road that you travel on this morning. That is why we made an application to Sandra that we need to get an alternative route that will take us up the old military camp route, and then it will connect to the main road. So it will also be part of enhancing our tourism. So this road is dangerous because anytime anything can happen. So loose soil resulting in land and mudslides, high tide that pushes water back to the land, because at times, as we said, that the stormwater drainage is also having an effect. So if the flooding, there's a lot of rain and the tide is high, you combine that, the sea is pushing water this way, and there's water that can't get in to the sea. So we are in that space of where the river meets the ocean, literally. And then when all that happens, it brings us back a lot of challenges. I've already put that part of lack of stormwater drainage system. The flooding is what I believe we are here about. It's just to show you that we also have and accept the reality of climate change, that it is having its effect. As you see that red line there, it's where this road, it's a pity again, I don't have ezizinto zikhombayo but that red shows that anytime soon those areas that are red are the ones where the soil will literally be not there in a matter of years. So yes, we know that there's a lot involved, but climate change also has its effect that is showing that very soon Port St. John's will be in big danger. This study has shown that most of the Port St. John's town area falls within the red line. So very high risk is detected in that space. The main road, the one that comes from town, as I have said before, that it's the one that is being eaten by the river, day in and day out. So those three spots are the ones indicating such. The road to the military base, because as we know, the soldiers used to be there, here in Port St. John's. So those red spots on your left indicate what you see on your right. That is exactly what has happened. The landslides, the road being torn apart. And also on Second Beach Road, we are also experiencing some landslides. There's a house on your right there that the soil has left its foundation. So anytime it might be on the third road. The creek, we have this creek, I'm sure you'll be able to see it literally when we get out of the town hall. You will see it clearly here on your right next to that stream. There are reeds that have grown in the stream that we are having. This stream, we believe, it's the one that can save us and make sure that the water flows to the sea freely. But there is a lot of scientific determination which we believe we will be able to be made to understand why reeds that are growing on a river are said not to be removed, because environmental wise, it's best they are there to protect anything that is dirty to get into the water. So we are saying for us as lay persons, we believe those reeds were not there before. That was a stream that had clean water before. But now one does not understand why they are a national priority, that they must be taken care of. So that's why I'm saying I'm glad you are here, so that we are schooled in a proper way, so that we don't do things that one day we will be charged by the department and be said that we have destroyed nature. So we are in that space where we don't understand why that creek cannot be removed, but the department is saying it must be kept there. It is keeping dirty things not going to the sea. So I feel let me be honest and say about this so that we understand, because to us, if that river can be cleaned and everything flows well, then some of the challenges will be solved. But we need the schooling transport roads have been damaged. 103 municipal access roads damaged, with the cost estimated to 377. So that's a stretch of 618.2 kilometers. So even the roads that we are doing ourselves on MIG, I'm sure, Pelo, we have that slide, Mr. MIG, and emotional and want to go to it before, especially when I go to that space. Even the access roads that as the municipality we did, no, never mind, okay. Oh yeah, I think I left that, it's very important. The allocation on our grant and equitable share, it's at 168.1 million, and our make is 36.1 million. You can imagine having 20 wards, 134 villages, you have your make at 36 million, and then a year you are only able to do 4 access roads. Then you can imagine how far can you go with that? Because 36 million to other families, it's money to go on holiday. But for us, it's something to take care of a municipality. And you believe you can do something valuable on that. And on that 36 million, we are unable to do things like building halls and other things. We focus only on access roads. And that also makes us to suffer in getting more funding, because if you do only access roads, when you are given marks, you are not given marks that we have done halls. So we have decided to put in our IDP now that we are going to, in fact, halls will be built when we have funding to do that. So, because really, the reality is that you cannot go any further with that need. The challenge that we always put, honorable members, is that this MIG allocation science, it's not working for all of us. Whoever designed it, in mind, that person had never thought there are places like ours. That person was thinking about a world of his own. I'm saying his purposely. We can't think like that. So, but it's a very damaging scientific theory. Because if you don't do it according to the challenges of an area, according to backlogs, because if in Port St. John's, there are only maybe 50 households that are paying rates here, then how do you expect to be amongst those who are given things? And also the population, if you can count literally the population of Port St. John's, it's triple what is written in the books. And the time it takes to give those statistics so that we are granted the funding, it delays in making sure that even if you have improved, but it takes time to record the correct numbers, it makes us to suffer. I believe I needed to put a finger on this, because it's our frustration that no matter what we do, we can never be able to serve our communities right. That is why the Council of Port St. John's, Honorable colleague, decided that on this smart city concept, let us talk about nodal development as Port St. John's. We make sure that as we are having wards that are coastal, in those wards, we make sure that we have hotels and malls. And then on the wards that are inland, we focus on agriculture and make sure that those malls and hotels are getting products from within Port St. John's. So we have identified the nodes for development like Tombo, Tafufu, because the N2 Sanral route that will go through Tambona will pass through Port St. John's. So we are saying have a one-stop shop in one of the wards where this road will go through, so that we are able to have these small towns scattered around Port St. John's to enhance our revenue and at the same time to achieve the smart city goal and not wait for a smart city in a bag to be dropped one day by somebody or so we are saying we need to create that concept ourselves so that we enhance. But you can't do that when your road network is not okay. Because who can go to a town in Tafufu when you can't travel properly? But we believe with that we can manage to change the face of our town. And at the same time, we make sure that you take the town up on the hills that I was talking about. You move it a little bit up so that one day you are no longer having flooded people here. So we are having plans as the council, but some of the plans might never be realized if we do not have funds to work on that. At some stage, we even say as council, we don't want a bag of money brought to us, but work on our plan. If we say we need bridges, even if the money is not brought to us, as long as business people will benefit when that is done, whoever controls the money, if we are told we won't be able to control it, but we want infrastructure to make sure that we do things. So I get emotional when I get to that point of 103 municipal access roads that we will forever and perpetually have to make access roads that will forever be washed away. And that is something that is not taking us anywhere. There's no need to spend money on something that you know that in April, it will be washed away every April. So on RCC1 main road, which has collapsed, needs intervention. The one I was talking about from town to the garage you saw. We need to construct an alternative route, which I've already mentioned. Military base access road is damaged. Roads leading to schools and clinics damaged. Communities have been cut off. Electricity was affected. The challenge that made Port St. John's to appear as if we are acting this flooding challenge. It's because Port St. John's is scattered. We do not have people staying in one place. Even if you go to the villages are scattered. So you don't find houses that have collapsed in one place. So that's why some people did not understand when we have a problem. Because they wanted to see people in one place who have houses washed away. But our case is not like that. You find this scattered all over. And it's never understood. And then we decide to say, maybe people want to see us all dead, and then they come to us when we are all dead. So, because it's difficult to explain our type of flooding. It's difficult when people want us to die at the same time. We can't be able to provide that. So on bridges, as I have indicated, where we have been badly affected, we indicated those ones in Ward 2, and Ward 18, Ward 10, Dlangala, Ward 15, Tsimbini, Ward 7, Kodusweni, Tafufu, Utulo, and then Ward 1, Omtong. So I'm just mentioning those, but the list is endless. Water infrastructure, shortage of water to supply from town to immediate surroundings. There was an irony here, honorable members, because at the time of the flooding, Oversight was still working on the water pipes, so they had opened some pipes because they were repairing them. So you can imagine when some of the pipes are opened and then flooding takes place. So people do not have water, but there's flooding. So you don't know how to explain that. Aging infrastructure. Port St. John's has been without water for 3 weeks at that time of the flood. We indicate the clinics that have been affected on Moya, Kubeni, Zinhlava, Mtambalala, Luchai. So those are clinics that experienced that. At that time, we experienced 1 death and 3 people who were injured. 1 death was called by a boy who was crossing the river from school, who was washed away. So, but we were there as the municipality and the district. The MEC of Proctor also came, and at least the family felt our presence. We even got some donations and people coming to assist. Economic impact. During the floods, some businesses had to close down. I don't see the pictures now. Oh, okay. Because I usually say what I say must be accompanied with the pictures, but you know, bayazisebenza abafana. Goods bayayazi ba ingathatha ixesha elide nollu picture ne-sentence so bandenzela-ke lula ayifuna ndilawuleke. Goods and produce was damaged. Roads leading to farms have been damaged. Some farms flooded and crops have been destroyed. Mantusini Dairy also has had flooded. On human settlements, the municipality is exposed to rapid land invasion, especially on government land. So, after Ward 6, Kona Councillor Walap, we fondly call him the premier of this ward because he's the councillor in town competing with the mayor. So, there's a lot of land invasion taking place here. Some of the land invaded is on wetland. As I was saying that through that land invasion, some people build on areas that one is not supposed to be building. So we have those huge areas here. On human settlements, we experienced again that people who were regarded as homeless were 423. Those with partially damaged households were 1,108. Ward councillors have been taking these lists together with ward committees. So we said they must have pictures and ID numbers and phone numbers of people. So we have that list of people, a person's name, phone number, ID number, so that anyone who would love to get the list can be able to call the person and be able to know that really that has happened. So that's how we are trying our best to be immaculate as possible. Schools that have been affected, they are the ones get listed there. The report will be supplied to you, honorable members. On damaged schools, those are the pictures of the schools damaged. We should have names on these pictures. This is how some of the rivers and roads have been. You see people putting those leaves there to try and cross. That's where the boy drowned. And this is how our town looked on that day. You see that track, how it is. Can that play a minute? That's one of our employees with the red jacket. So this is at Green's farm. So this is literally what was happening. And you can proceed. reception area, even the photograph of the president nearly got affected. Yes. So on short-term infrastructure requirements, on direct costs, even here, this council chamber, there was water here in the town hall, and here where we are, there was water here, meterized. A detailed flood line and mitigation study, emergency housing, assessment of households affected by disaster, detailed assessment of damaged infrastructure, clearance of blocked roads. So we estimate the costs as the short-term solution at 37.7 million. Medium-term infrastructure requirements, NASO, we have tried our best to detail them. You can proceed with long-term infrastructure requirements, the sewerage, stormwater, water reticulation, road and associated stormwater, electricity. You can proceed. PSJ town and surroundings, drainage problem, mudslides, Mzimvubu River, as we have mentioned before, bridges washed away, eroded roads. We, as I indicated, that this disaster was not one the first time. We just take the recent years. In 2019, people who were found to be homeless in 2019 were 285. Those who were partially having damaged households at 613. In 2013, homeless 390, partially 1,100. But it's saddening, Honorable Chair, to indicate that throughout those years, it's the first time we are having this conversation with Parliament and the legislature, because we are living with those challenges. It's always painful when you go and attend to a family which has experienced disaster in 2022, when you have a family which was not attended in 2019. So those backlogs are embarrassing us, because at times when we call people to give them blankets that are donated, those who experienced in previous years will applaud. But when you are leaving, they'll come to you and say, but ma'am, what about us who experienced this? Our houses are still the same. So we are saying we are caught in a very difficult situation of having to go to people and attending the recent things and leaving those who were affected. So this is how the bridge, the Mzimvubu River, that bridge, the main bridge, that's how close the water was to it. And this is the street in town, this one on your right. So the clearance of R61, we are working very well with government departments and the community. The municipal employees who were working 24 hours to make sure that whenever there's a tree that has fallen on the road, they are there to clear it. Challenges, some mudslides are still unable to be removed, but we are trying our best. Machinery Kamaspala is under repairs, so we have to work with the little that we have, because we will remember that we were busy with our own maintenance, our routine maintenance, but we had to bring back some of the machinery, but most of it got affected because of working in such areas, overloading bridges and all that. You can proceed. I know Honorable colleague might be running out of time and his team. I'm trying to be fast now. So these are the pictures of showing literally the landslides, and that one with the back, it's a bridge that was affected. Those are the things that we feel, if at least they can be attended to, some of the challenges will be minimized. Distillation of Umzimvubu River, clearance of the creek, we are putting inverted commas on that, but we will clear the creek when we get the go-ahead to do that. Because we were once charged by the Department of Environmental Affairs because there are a lot of trees. Even when you are doing the access roads, you have to be careful in Port St. John's. There is a tree that we had to move around it when we were making a road, not having to cut it. So you had to go circle it because it's a preserved tree. That's how difficult life is in working in Port St. John's, because nature and development always clash here. Whenever you want to move a step forward, trying to change people's lives, nature will say you won't do that. And people will remain in places that are not developed because it's guarded. We want a plan that will make nature and development be able to be together. Yeah. Because I believe that can happen. But there are also selfish people who will stay in developed areas. But when development takes place in Port St. John's, they come in droves to stop it. But where they are coming from, they are comfortable. They want to come here and be on holiday. And then we must remain in their messes that we must not develop so that they can come on holiday to us. And then their holiday is perfect because they are watching everything. They be natural. And then they go back to developed places of their own. But we must remain there. I don't know what we are. But it's something that needs Ukubabandu stop being selfish, but understand that nature and development can be together. As long as you respect it and then you reap to what maybe needs to be removed at some stage. You can plant, because we are all saying if you are doing an access road, make sure that there's grass planted, there are plants that are brought back after that. But in Port St. John's, you must not move. You will hear people from America coming to stop a development in Port St. John's. And you wonder, why are we supposed to remain like that whenever there's something that we need to do? So we need the laws that will liberate us from this, because this is dualism, and at the same time it's unfair because we know how to preserve what belongs to us. There will never be a Port St. John's if you do not have these trees and these rivers and all that. We know that. That's our ace. The beauty is our ace. But do you want to tell me that we must not have roads just because we have trees? So it's something that's annoying and delaying what we need to do. And even this smart city concept, you will hear people, as we are saying, we want to build malls and towns in the villages. There will be activists that will be flagging here. If there are people who come on holiday here just to check if we are still keeping their place. Okay. Implementation of Agate Terrace Phase 3, so the Office of the Premier is assisting us in making sure that we have this alternative surfacing taking place here in town and across. There is a place called Notekwan across the river where there was a lot of death happening because there was a steep road where whenever it was raining, as a result, we said it must start on that side towards the bridge. It must not start from the bridge towards the village. So as a result, now we are left with phase 3 that will go to the bridge. So those are some of the things that we believe if you can continue with such, it will ease challenges. We would love Santa to be part of the support in construction of some of the bridges, because we believe that not all the bridges are the size that needs the massive finance, but there are bridges that can be done through the soldiers. And they have assisted us before. How many Chief of Yes, in the last term, 3 bridges were done by the army. So we feel that there are also some that can be identified that they can assist us quickly on in that 46. So assistance with temporary shelters to destitute and homeless that needs urgent attention. Reparation of provincial roads, funding. That's why they were saying we don't want a bag of money here, but we want the realization of our plan by whoever, however. Those are some of the things that were saying they can be taken care of in servicing the nodes, like our Bandisana Hospital and Islimed, assistance with the provision of bulk infrastructure, proceed. The municipality has identified a number of projects to seek to stimulate change and development. So some of those are the shopping malls I have alluded to, middle income, those are in our IDP, second beach development, waterfront development, small craft harbor, airstrip development, the cable car. As I've said, that these 2 mountains can provide a beautiful development where you can have a cable car and across you have restaurants that can be of attraction. And the airstrip, because you could have flown from Tata to here instead of driving. We have an airstrip here that is not properly utilized, and I believe it is the size of the Kruger National Park airport. So there's nothing that is stopping Port St. John's in having its own mini airport. Whatever the name, if airport is big, then we be given a proper name that will fit what we are thinking of. I think it will be proper, really. Even if there was no flooding, honorable member, in the airstrip, but we would love to indulge you in seeing what, because I believe your presence here should not be about floods, literally, but about how to stop having floods in future. I think that's what is important, more than seeing what has happened and then we stop there. But what is it that can be done to improve Port St. John's for the best? We have signed a commitment letter to the minister to gazette PSJ as part of the smart city. We need to improve on broadband connected connection. Kuha Development Corporation was appointed by the Premier's office to develop a concept document for PSJ municipality. Infrastructure requirements, we are always having them with us. So in that blank page, I think it's always reserved for me to say whatever I would like to say. But it is an honor for us on behalf of the council. Your presence is much appreciated, and we believe that you will be our voice in our absence now. All of you. You be the ambassadors of Port St. John's. Whenever you get get an opportunity to put our case, we want you to do that. From today onwards, we regard you as our family because we've been shouting and shouting, and our voices have been getting hoarse now without getting the proper ears. What we wanted. We are coming to a stage of saying it's fine, we will see what to do. And we don't want to get into that space. But there's a lot of opportunity for Port St. John's. And whenever people come and say, hey, Port St. John's has a potential, I said we don't want potential. We want reality. We want reality. Potential has done nothing for us throughout the years. And people have been telling us, we don't want to see that person called potential. We want practical things to happen. Yes, we know also as the municipality, we have a lot to do that needs to be done by us. But we need support. We need to travel with you in this journey. We so present, honorable members. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Your Worship, the Mayor. It's a comprehensive and also a very visual presentation that has taken place. And I must say, I always make the comment, since we started in KwaZulu-Natal and we go to the local municipalities, is that you can see that when the political principal do the presentation, herself or himself, that they know what is going on. They've internalized what is there, instead of giving an official the opportunity to do so. So thank you very much, Your Worship, for the straightforward and frank presentation that you've given us. Nola, is there another presentation?
There should be one chair from the Owartambo district.
Who is here from Owartambo?
The speakers, yeah.
Speaker has left the meeting.
Oh. Well, I was advised that the speaker or the mayor would do the presentation.
Is the mayor here?
Not yet, Chair.
Not yet. Okay. Yes. What is your responsibility? Are you a mayoral committee member? Okay. So proceed, John. Yes.
Thank you very much, Jefferson. I am Councillor Dana from Oversight. Maybe I won't dwell much, but I will give a summary of other municipalities that were not covered in the presentation. Let me first greet you, Chairperson, the honorable members, Honorable Executive Mayor, for Speaker in absentia, administration from sector departments, and also Abu and Enyabanabo from Parliament. Quickly, mine is to just reflect on interventions, but I will give you this report. The areas of interventions that we receive from other stakeholders like your sector departments and NGOs, the Department of Human Settlements.
MMC, can I just get, before you proceed, is there a presentation available that you can send to the members electronically?
Yes, Chair. I'll send it now via WhatsApp because it was sent with the other bigger chunk of documents lost.
Okay, please send it through so that members can follow
Will do.
on their devices as the MMC goes through the presentation. You may proceed, MMC.
Okay. Maybe I can wait for them to load the.
for the members, the presentation is on the WhatsApp group. You can open that and then we can follow from there. The MMC will just indicate which page they are on and also the heading so that we do not miss important information.
Okay.
Please proceed.
First of all, let me start by saying your town comprises of 5 municipalities. Your King Sabato Dalingebo, Mshonsho, Nyandini, PS Ray, and Inuza municipality. On the disaster of April, all municipalities were affected, but Port St. John was the one that was hard hit by the disaster. The district responsibility is to resuscitate management center, disaster management center, for Ukubaswa's coordinator all the activities that are happening in some municipalities and activate a team, our field workers, to do a verification and assessment. That was done. Hence, the executive mayor will say, working together with the ORTAM, because they've got satellite offices in each municipality to assist when there is disaster. Indeed, we do assessment. Infrastructure that was affected, it was the one Yendlela, building your schools, your clinics, as it was already indicated, but the responsibility for us is to consolidate for each and every municipality and do the costing of the damage. On social relief, we engaged NGOs that we used to work with, like the Gift of Givers, that assisted us. It has assisted in 2 municipalities, Port St. John's and Nyandeni. In number of food packs, the majority was delivered to Nyandeni. So we've got a list in a slide on damages. We've got a list of the homeless families and partially affected houses. The KSD, from Nyandeni in Hill, Port St. John's, as I have indicated. It gave us a total number of 4,915 of houses. The total, when you include both homeless and partial. Intervention on houses was done by the Department of Human Settlements. The Department of Human Settlements committed a number of shelters, 200 shelters, that we divided amongst the municipalities according to the damage that has been occurred in that municipality. Also on the issue of roads, the municipalities reprioritize from, as Executive Mayor was mentioning, the point that they have to remove fleet from where they were doing their routine plans. So they have to reprioritize and assist. Where there were damages that were done, like there was a park home that state staff, Sakwa Health, that was affected, the department responded and assisted on that. ESCOM, lines of electricity, also we get e-assistance. And if we get because I want ukuba singalikhithi ixesha sihleli apha eboardroom, but the report is there. When you have time, you will go through it. Challenges that we are having with the communities that makes Indobana disaster numbers very high. In Indobana, we are still using mud houses. Hence, when there is disaster, either if it's storm or it's floods, they are affected severely. There are also fatalities that happened. The others were from the disaster from KZN. And we have a total number of 9. 3 are within the area of Ower Tambo, Port St. John's, and Nyandeni. Then the others were from the disaster that occurred in KZN, affecting Nyandeni and Ingoza. 3 families from Ingoza, 3 families from Nyandeni. But everything was taken care of. They were repatriated and they were buried in their homes. Even the Ower Tambo procured and assist Kulendwine food parcels. I think that the general challenges is abantu who are building their houses in the flood line, like the green farm, which I think the municipality and Ower Tambo have to persuade the communities not to rebuild. But as it has been long, our band, they always get disaster, but they go back to that green farm. About the bayeke because kusitwa bebeke bafumana floods. It's because of or they want to be near a town where you don't know, but they don't move as the Ubasi requester for them not to rebuild in the area. So I just wanted to share the figures with you, which they are in your report for the whole district of Ower Tambo. That disaster, it was very much severe in that we had other figures being added on the report because the more the sun shines, the mud houses go down. So our figures always escalate after the rain because of mud houses. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
No, thank you very much, MMC, for the presentation. It's now becoming clear, honourable members, that the area that we are actually in, Port St. John's, is where the major damage in this entire district took place. The mayor from Port St. John's have just asked to make an addition to the presentation that she made, and we are going to allow her to do that.
Thank you, Honorable. I feel so embarrassed because at times we complain and forget those who have wiped our tears. I think it's proper to report in this house that we received people who came, the first being the district, Ower Tambo district, and also the gift of the givers. They were here and they brought 300 food parcels and blankets. National Lottery, also they were here with 1,000 blankets and 1,500 food parcels. Hollywood Beds, I hope I'm pronouncing them well. They brought 150 blankets and 38 food parcels. MTN also brought 1,000 blankets and 500 food parcels. There were also individual donations of people bringing clothes, the communities bringing clothes, so we've delivered such. But what we were doing, Honorable Chair, is that from the list given by the ward councillors, we would look at that and then take the donor to where one must distribute. So we didn't want these things to be with us and then we might end up being in trouble. But because of the vastness of the area, some of them would say, I'll go to one place and then you can call people in one place and then they'll be given. So we have pictures of such, and we are grateful to those donations, for those donations. Thanks.
Thank you, Mayor. Are there any other presentations, Nolo?
No,
Those are
Chair.
the two.
We should be good.
I now invite questions of clarity and comments from the honorable members. You may raise your hand, I'll give you a number and we'll follow in. Number 1, number 2, Honorable Shengwa, number 3, number 4, Honorable Singula, and number 5 is the Honorable Khai, and then we'll have another round. We'll come back to you, Honorable Asoma.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson, and good morning to your good selves, honorable members, the municipalities, and everybody in this platform. My name is Fikile Masiko. I'm a member of the committee from the province of KZN. Firstly, Honorable Chair, I think it's proper as well to pass condolences to the Mayor on the passing of her mother, but also greatly appreciate her presence during her time of mourning. I only have 2 questions, Honorable Chair. The first one is based on the Mayor's introductory comments when she spoke about this area being prone to floods, and she's dating back to the 1987s. And for me, it's important to check on the municipalities' disaster response mechanisms that are in place, because I'm sure that by now we should expect that every time there are clouds gathering, there must be some form of a disaster that is awaiting to happen. So the first question relating to that is the functionality of the early warning systems of the municipality, and whether or not the municipality has proper working relations or interactions with the provincial disaster management centers as well as the national to receive information on possible rains that will lead to disasters. So it's important for us to get information on that. The second question and last question that one wants to pose to the Mayor is the provision of temporal shelter. There is a number that is given of the homeless. We don't know whether it's from these floods or it's from the previous ones, the number of 400. Now, there is no information, Mayor, on the provision of temporal housing or maybe housing projects that will assist these homeless people. So it's important for us to also get information on them. Thank you very much, Honorable Chair.
Honorable Shengwa.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair, Honorable colleagues, Worship the Mayor, and the MMC and the officials present. Chair, I know that you will always want me to be brief. So I intend on doing exactly that. Chair.
Introduce yourself, then you can, and then thereafter you can be brief.
So that my introduction can be long. Chair, my name is Mkhuleko Hlengwa, a member of this committee in the National Assembly. Chair, I just want to go to the issue of the short-term intervention. 37 million rands has been cited there. To check whether is that money that is available when application has been made to National Treasury on the perennial headache of against the perennial headache of the 1 billion rands, and to check how much money the municipality has so far spent in the interventions that it has done, and whether, of course, has that triggered the reprioritization of the budget as per the National Treasury Directive. And I think, Chair, I raised this in the context of yesterday's meeting that we had with National Treasury, because maybe to share with colleagues, I did share with Chair Nyambi. I spoke to one district mayor yesterday in KZN. They've made an application to National Treasury after the entire assessment. They needed 44 million rands. The response from National Treasury was that they would get 28 million rands. assistance. However, find it in your own funds and we'll reimburse you later. So it's a very awkward funding model. And if you look at the figures of Port St. John's here, you begin to wonder, how do you reprioritize that budget? And where do you find the money to be reimbursed later without them? So I think we just want to get a sense of how much they have spent and how they've actually done that. Chair, the SANDF has been deployed by the President as part of the intervention, and I see PSG wants the SANDF to come and assist. Now the question is, have they arrived? Have they made a request for them to come and so on? So what's the status of that? So that when we have that that meeting with them, we can be in a position to gauge that. And then the final question, Chair, I say I'm trying by all means, is along the lines, Chair, of infrastructure maintenance. And I'm juxtaposing that to the early warning systems that Honorable Masigo actually raises. Because if we're going to be going as far back as 1987, the year which I was born, that's 35 years. So we can't really be in a position of lamentations about these disasters in such an area. So the question becomes, those who are responsible for assisting in disaster management, have they considered, or rather maybe let me put it this way, Chair, the National Disaster Management Center? I think this is where this discussion becomes important. The areas that are prone to floods, we obviously over time are beginning to identify them. What are they doing? Right, because it's one thing to speak about the early warning systems and we evacuate the people, but we know that there's areas that are prone to floods, and this is one of them. So are we going to be coming back in 2 years' time and still be told, no, this is an old age problem of floods from 1987, yet you've got a disaster management center, which in my view should be collaborating with the municipalities and spaces which are susceptible to the kind of disasters that we actually have. So I'm really interested in that. And I really think, Chair, maybe to crave the indulgence of your good office, that in our next interaction with the sector departments, can we get environmental affairs? Because there's quite a number of environmental issues that are being raised here, and the impact that they have on disaster management and disaster prevention are something that we need to look at. Chair, I think, Chair, I would also like to conclude on the note of conveying condolences to the Mayor, as you've already done. The loss of a mother is definitely a very difficult one. And I think we should, as you have said, offering our condolences. Thank you for the commitment to be seen. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you. The Honorable Director.
Thank you, Chair. Greetings to the co-chair, the district MMC, and the local mayor, my colleagues, and everyone who's present in the meeting. Chair, firstly, I don't believe in praising as a fish for swimming, but when I was looking at the report of the municipality, especially on the audit outcome, I think they are one of the few municipalities that we still have in this country whom are able to get unqualified audit report. So I will wish that they keep the standard up, because it shows that there's hope. And Chair, I'm glad that when the mayor was raising other issues, he also raised the importance of local economic development, which is one of the key tools for us in building a smart city. So, Chair, on the issue of disaster, when they were presenting on the disaster status quo, some of the disasters are caused not because of natural, but because of lack of maintenance of infrastructure, and also not following proper planning in terms of the spluma. And I believe that is not only something that started now, it's something that has been there for many years. So I would like to check with the municipality as to say, when they do assessment, have they also considered a long-term plan in order to prevent this situation to happen again in future, because you can get that money that you are looking for, but if the root cause of the challenge is not addressed, you will still continue to face the very same situation that you are facing now. And Chair, the other one, I would also request that municipality should also engage both the national quota and also the environmental health, both the province and the national, to assist in that regard, because we know that in most cases our municipality do not have enough capacity in terms of dealing with the disaster. And Chair, on the OR Tambo report, I've noticed that the numbers in terms of the district and also the local municipality does not tally on the temporary accommodation. When you look at the report of municipality, it says the homeless is 432, and partially it's 1,180. But when you look at the report of the district, it says homeless is 163 for OR Tambo, and partially is 333. So I just want to check with them is to say which figure is correct, and secondly, how many temporary houses have been built by women settlement so far? Thank you, Chair.
Number 4.
Thank you, Chair. My name is Vuyo Zongola. I'm a member of the committee in the National Assembly. I also want to extend my condolences to Umama Umeya. I think I will ask direct questions, Mama, particularly on the disaster budget for umasipala lona, kuba how much did you budget for unyaka lona nasebenzisa malini na? Eyesibini umbuzo would be, you spoke at great length about abantu that have built houses in the wetlands and the floodplains. How many people or how many households have been relocated, if any, from all of those areas that would be in great danger should a disaster like this strike again? The last question would be, you did say ikwenza emotional lamcimbi walandlela, because the river is causing a distraction to lendlela besingene ngayo, and it's something that is worrying kuwe. But the question would be, what is the plan? It's understandable to know about, okay, there's potential danger here. If this thing is left unaverted for quite some time, we might not even have indlela engene person Jones, but I'm interested in knowing what is the plan actually to deal with that. Then coming to the district, I just need to understand how many emergency shelter units have been built and how many families have been allocated. Then to the district chair, I think I need to register this concern. When I'm reading the recommendations, you know, it says the municipality should. Almost all of the recommendations, it is should. It is not something that is painting a picture of something that is done. And we're talking firstly about a municipality that is prone to disasters. Secondly, we're talking about a disaster that struck in April, but in June, we are still having a municipality that is saying should, you know, still making plans. For example, the DOC should establish response and recovery teams. The district municipality should urgently register. So I'm a bit in fact, I'm very concerned about the lack of disaster preparedness for a municipality that is prone to disasters, particularly when the mayor is speaking. These disasters have struck from the 80s, but in 2022, we seem as if there is no established disaster management plan to be proactive about the management of these disasters. Thank you.
I think that will be me.
Yes, it's you.
No, thank you very much, Honorable Chair, and greetings to the chairpersons, the district, MMC, the mayor, and I also like to also extend heartfelt condolences to the mayor and her family. Also greeting to the chair of the Portfolio Committee on COCTA, Honorable Matuan. Chair, I just want to find out, I think Patu covered with regard to the funding, the question by Honorable Hlengwa, but it's a matter of emphasis. I know that, my understanding is that the 36 million is for the normal MIG, not necessarily for the disaster. But the meeting we had with the Minister of Finance, he was indicating a number of pockets of funding that provinces and municipality can access. So the emphasis, therefore, would like to find out if is there any application that has been made by the municipality to be able to access the funding from national. The second question is the Department of Public Works and Infrastructure nationally has a program called the Welisizwe program that is responsible for building bridges. I understand that there are bridges that have been built by the South African National Defence Force. That is appreciated, but what I want to check further whether the Public Works and Infrastructure Department has had any role in terms of also assisting with the building of some of the bridges in the area. The last one is I was not really clear about the role of provinces in terms of their assistance in the municipality. For example, you talk about the clinics and the schools that were damaged. What is the role of the Department of Education with regard to that, the Department of Health? Thank you very much, Chair.
Okay, before I take the next round.
Oh, my name is Mandla. He's reminding me. My name is Mandla Khai, member of the committee representing from the National Council of Provinces. Thank you very much.
Thank you, honorable members. Before I give another round of hands, I want to give an opportunity to the Honorable Mayor and the MMC to respond, but I also want to recognize in the meeting, I didn't see him, the Honorable Matuwane. I'm sorry we left the hotel before you could arrive. We received your apology. It's fine. Thank you. Thank you very much. Over to you.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I also would like to indicate that we have been joined by other members of our council. No introductions were made even before you came, honorable members. So you are recognized. I forgot to just mention my name before I presented. I'm sorry about that. I'm Nomvuzo Kamlombile Nocingo. Honorable Chair, I believe it is now that we will need the support of the administrative arm because I want us to be thorough in responding. Don't want the generalization. But I think I'll start with the officials who Mr. Obosen or MM Akwazukung and municipal manager. But I think it's proper to indicate that we received 15 temporal structures, 5 in Ward 5, 5 in Ward 6, 5 in Ward 16. So at the moment, I believe that's what has happened. But I just wanted to indicate, Honorable Chair, Ulendo ye number for us, ye homeless. We had lento kutwa center, lanto siyenzayo temporal kasinengxaki. All departments were part of that, making sure that we are all here. OR Tambo, the disaster arm yayo, kunye no social development, all other departments. So assessment was done by OR Tambo, USASA, social development, and these numbers says homeless people, they are there with them even in their records. So Tina, we want to stand with that. But kulento ye disaster ngokwe-setting kahulumende, it resides with the district. So as the local municipality, we are not expected to have even money put aside for disaster. So it is the competence of the district. So that's one of the elements we are saying. Your presence here needs to assist in the some of these things, because when you do some of these things, when the Auditor General comes and then you say, no, because of this we did this, but you will be penalized for that, and you will be asked, but why did you spend money which was not supposed to be spent on something? So even if you have something that you can do as the local municipality, but you will be asked funny questions, correct questions. Why did you do that? So we are inhuman as the local municipality, because we want to be perfect in following rules, but those rules are tough. But let me start with you, Mr. Obos. I don't know whether it's proper to start with an official before you, Ms. Permanent. Oh. Mr. Obos, come in on the card here application. If we done some documents
Greetings, honorable members. The cameras and myself don't need Unfortunately, I did not even shake, so thank you. Greetings, honorable members, my honorable councillors, colleagues, me, myself, and I'm Cabo Obos, responsible for engineering and planning at Ports and Trams. There are other colleagues amongst us who will assist in some of the questions that have been asked. The first point I would like to shoot straight to is we have known for some time that we are prone to disasters. And in trying to work out means and ways of having mitigations towards that, what we have then done is to try and make sure that we do contact ourselves with persons that can assist us to do what we call a climate vulnerability assessment, and also put on mitigation factors towards that. Based on the interactions that we've had, we've actually been visited by the geosciences group, who are actually assisting us to put together terms of references that one would use for us to do a geological study for the town. Working with MISA as well to find out how much would that cost. One looked at it, it would be in the tune of around about 5 million. Now, looking at the budget that we have and what is it that we need to do, we're still trying to find means and ways of where can we get funding to assist towards that, so that we are then able to plan towards that. What a vulnerability assessment would assist us would be for us to be able to put in mitigation factors that would assist us to say how do we mitigate the floods that we do have in case the water that comes actually tries to flood the town. As Honorable Mayor has said, if one looks at the creek, there is those reeds that are actually growing there. We wanted to go ahead and touch that and remove those reeds, but luckily for us, we did not do that beforehand. Otherwise, we'd be sitting now with a penalty of about 5 million rand from the Department of Environmental Affairs, because we would be termed to be what is a repeat offender. So working with MISA again on that front for us to get authorization from the department to allow us to remove the reeds that are actually in the creek and install what one would call to be nets that would then filter the dirt that might go into the sea, not to go into the sea but to be stuck within those nets, and then we try and clean up those nets at a time that would be conducive at any point in time that there's something that's clogging up around those nets. We did put in an application through. We've done one comprehensive one that's inclusive of everything that is damaged. We're then required to tone that down because it was felt that the disaster in KZN would be taking a chunk of the money that would be allocated. we asked to tone that down. We've actually toned that down to about 4 projects that one sees that would be of assistance. We're still waiting for feedback to say what is it that we might be getting out of that. In the meantime, we received a letter from National Treasury saying we need to reprioritize what our MIG allocation was in order to fit in the projects that we now need to do that have been affected by the disaster. We were stuck between our place and a rock, of which you can't squeeze water out of a rock. All of our allocation was committed. We had contractors on site nearing the end of their completion period. So no matter you would reprioritize that, you would reprioritize what one would term bones, and there's one person that actually turned bones to be a human being, and for us it is impossible to do that. So based on that, we're not able to do that. So the only logical explanation that is left is for us to wait for the answer that comes on the other end, and for us to do the bulk of the work that was to be done using the municipal fleet that we have and using municipal resources that we have. If one is able to stretch a range to be what it should be, we're actually trying to do that. It's not going to be a very easy task. It's going to be one of the most difficult tasks that one has to try and make sure that we do accomplish. In terms of us getting wall earning systems, we do get that. We were told even now that the floods are actually, it is going to happen at such and such a time. Hence, we try to put our mitigation factors to ensure that we don't get as flooded as we were. Last thing that I would like to say is that if one looks at the area of Greens Farm, some of the persons that are actually staying there have been relocated to Maheng development, Maheng settlement. Now, if one looks at where Maheng settlement is, it's actually sitting 8 kilometers out of town, and the people that actually staying there are supposed to be staying on the far end of United, like Maheng. So for them to commute, that's when the problem started. Lastly, what I would like to say is Port St. John's has been claimed back by the Kakuba local tribal authority. So we've got a settlement agreement that then comes into play. So it's not one, it's a very unique situation that one has to try and traverse to try and make sure that we do things according. So Spluma is one of the aspects that we're trying to use, and one knows the hassles that are there within Spluma and what it involves when it comes to traditional authorities and the likes. So that is one other aspect that we actually having to deal with. We have been visited by USANDF. They visited us 3 times. They came before the floods. We showed them areas that would like to have bridges that they would like to install. They went back, and then other 2 different groups that came again. So SNDF has been within around Port St. John's, and the chatter is the bridges that we actually showed them, some of them they would be able to do. We're just waiting for when they will be able to do. SANDF has helped us previously by building 1 bridge and 1 walkway to allow students to cross the river whenever it rains. And then my other colleagues will then come in with regards to the road from area that we call Mbantu, or if you look on Google, it's called the Gates, the one that you guys, honorable members, traveled on coming into town. People from the Department of Transport are here, so they will make sure that they do answer that. We take the advice of National Cocta and the Environmental Health for assistance. We'll try and engage with those particular departments to make sure that we do align ourselves with what is it that they can do. Lastly, what I can say is at Port St. John's Municipality, we appreciate the help that we can get, and we'll make sure that we avail ourselves for each and everything that has to be done. We'll try to put our shoulder to the wheel as much as possible with resources that are available to us, allow us to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I don't know whether on the part of officials from the departments, let's call you up, because I saw Department of Transport. Mr. Pong?
May I ask that the inputs be brief and to the point, please? Because we want to get into the areas that have been affected.
Good morning, honorable members. I won't be long, just a quick one. I'm Fundeza Pongo, responsible for district roads in the Owa Tambo district. The issue of the upgrades and other things are done by the provincial office. Thank you. The issue of the upgrades, like if there is something that needs to be done on a road, only doing maintenance as a district district office is done by the provincial office in head office, that is in Bishop. So we've got a backlog of upgrades. I don't think there is plan to do something on this road. I think that's all that was, I'm talking about this road that is coming to town. Then my heads in head office will be in a position, that is the head of department, to say when they will start to do something for this road. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
There's also human settlement.
Where's human settlements? Yes. Yes, a microphone for you.
Good morning, Honorable Chair, Honorable members, Honorable Mayor, Speaker, and councillors, and also to colleagues. My name is Edmond Denzel Quintin Van. I work for the Eastern Cape Department of Human Settlements as the Chief Director, Incremental Programs. Chair, maybe let me give a provincial picture in terms of the disaster that has affected the people of the Eastern Cape. The number of households affected is 4,162, and that information we get it from our Provincial Disaster Management Center. Alfredzo has got 620 with 435 people that are homeless. A number of partially damaged houses, 185. Owa Tambo, 842 affected households with 1,256 people that have been left homeless and 1,586 houses that have been left partially damaged. In Joga, we've got 41 affected houses. The number of households homeless is 41, and there's no partially damaged. Amatole is 282 households affected, homeless 282, no partially damaged, and 377 in Krisani, and those are left homeless and there's no partial damage. So, Honorable Chair, that's the provincial picture that we have. So we've got 2,391 people that have been left homeless in the province, and about 1,771 houses that have been partially damaged. And if you look at the financial implication, which I think is very, very critical, the amount of money that you currently need in order to deal with also, remember our response, Chair, in terms of disaster is threefold. One is the provision of a temporary shelter with the CRU. One is to fix the partially damaged houses, and ultimately to be able to provide a permanent solution to all those people that have been homeless. So the amount of budget that we're currently looking at the Department of Human Settlements alone, we are sitting at 971 million rand, so we are close to a billion. And I think that's a picture that is really affecting the province, because currently we only see a very small, and maybe we have not advertised properly the impact, but in terms of human settlement, that's the amount of money that we are looking at in order to be able to deal with this. In terms of our response, Honorable Chair, quickly, to date, we have appointed a contractor to erect 1,000 temporary shelters, which is 565 in Owa Tambo and 435 in Alfredzo. And we've also appointed the Housing Development Agency to erect 1,141 temporary shelters to assist in the also Owa Tambo, Jogabi, Krisani regions. Chair, the road infrastructure is affected badly, and we have in Alfredzo already completed a number of 170 temporary shelters. Winnie-Madikizela municipality, which is mostly affected in Alfredzo, we have done 51. We have completed Umzimvubu 96, of the area, so we are forced to go areas. In OR Tambo, we have not done well, I must be honest. We've only built 85 temporary shelters. The Honorable Mayor has reflected the 15. The contractor has now delivered material inside, but the road infrastructure is a problem because normally you would be bringing horse and trailers with your material for temporary shelters. But what is happening is that you need an 8-tonner truck, which only takes 4 temporary shelters, and then when you get further, and I think maybe if we were to go to site, the Honorable Mayor would know that you only have to be able to do so. The road infrastructure is quite a problem, but to augment the capacity, HDA has also appointed 2 service providers to be able to come and assist with the erection of the temporary shelters. And so, Chair, and therefore, lastly, Chair, there is also the issue around these partially damaged houses. The reality of the situation is that you are talking about a partially damaged Rondabel. So these partially damaged houses actually need people to be provided with permanent solution. They say it's partially damaged because when you get to that assessment in that particular household, there's 1 or 3 Rondabels. One of those Rondabels is partially damaged, but when you see the impact of it is that we've got to respond by provision of it a permanent solution. And to date, we have counted that with the disaster that has happened, we need to eradicate 5,450 partially damaged houses, which are really your mass structures. But currently, we have contractors on site from the previous disasters that are responding with 1,750 provision of permanent solution. Chair, I don't want to take long, but I think I can share the presentation with the colleagues so that is available. But also to say that these numbers, they change daily, because once it rains, as the Honorable Mayor, the MMC was saying, the house doesn't get damaged, but as soon as you get sunlight, a mud structure will then get damaged, which will collapse. Then that's why you will see the numbers that are there. But the numbers that we have, these are the numbers from the Provincial Disaster Management Center, which are confirmed by court. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thanks, Honorable Chair. I think I must round up our responses by saying, Honorable Chair, starting with what I indicated, that disaster is the competence of the district, but we need to be there to make sure that we do what we could as the local municipality. But we would like to say we have a group that as a municipality we are part of that is having a weather official. So we get the warnings from that, and they even send to my office. So we do get that. That's why we keep our engineering department on their toes to make sure that the drains are cleaned and what we can do. So we do get such. But I want to say on the road that is leading outside the town, we have written a letter to Sanral, and they acknowledged receipt of that. And there was an indication that as they are working on this road to Mtamvona, they are making sure that our application is part of their work. When they are doing their phases, I believe on phase 2, it's then that we will be accommodated. So this road is part of their program that they promised to work on it. So we trust that with the cancellations and all, this route still stands. So that's the only way we think will be assisted, through Sanral's confirmation. So that's one element. Also, Honorable Chair, player relocation, I think Mr. Obose has indicated on that. There are discussions with those people who are involved, and the ward councillor also is in talks with them. So there are plans to do that. But I think what is important is to make sure that they are done and we stop talking about them. But the reality, Honorable Chair, is that as the municipality, we understand that it will never be easy to get, for example, the 46 bridges that we need in the short term. But that is why, as the municipality, we are focusing on revenue enhancement strategies of our own, because the reality is that it will take time for us to be assisted in what we are doing. So that's why we are saying our focus is on this revenue enhancement, on nodal development, in making sure that we get funding that will assist us. So that's why we say, for example, as lay persons, to us, even the funds, the temporal structures, Honorable Matewan, to us, the amount of the temporal structure in a rural area can assist if you do that in another way. If that fund is utilized in buying bricks and simple things, that amount results in having a home to us. But all these logistics and things, we can't change in a day. We need to do them step by step. But I'm talking now to you as compatriots, as lawmakers, that some of the things can be solved with that. I don't know whether we have covered most of your questions, but if there are still things that are left out, we want to respond in writing in some of them, so that we don't leave out anything. But it's I don't know, I will be reminded if there are important things that we left out.
No, thank you, Mayor. There was a specific question to our Tambo District Municipality. Can you respond to that, please?
Thank you, Chair. The question is about figures that do not tally. As I have mentioned, that our reports usually change because our mud houses continuously get destroyed as time moves on. But one thing that I want to add, the HDA has recently been dispatched throughout the region to do another verification and assessment that will assist us to have a final report on these disaster challenges. Then the second one is the one of early warning system. As OR Tambo, really the disaster responsibility is upon our shoulders and it's our mandate. The district has started constructing a big facility in Nyandeni that will accommodate all relevant resources that will assist in coordinating our activities as a district. As of now, our budget sticks only to social relief. We don't have budget to do other things. Our mandate is to respond on social relief. So we've got that limited budget that we use to allocate for disasters that assist like your mattresses, your food, and assist in verification and assessment. That's the only part that we are playing currently as a district. We are hoping that towards the end of next year, that building will be finalized. Next year, in the financial year that will be starting in July, will drive us to 2023, where we think that the building will be finalized by then. Thank you, Chair.
No, thank you for the reply. I'm going to hand over now to the Honorable Nyambi. We'll take the second round of questions, but if there's somebody who's lost a bank card, I think it's Mr. Ndabeni. Oh, yes, there's a bank card here in front. Please come and fetch it. Otherwise, you won't be able to access. You won't be able to access your resources and relief measures that you need for the weekend.
I don't know why my colleague is doing this, because Mr. Ndabeni indicated that he's giving the card for lunch. So we are just spoiling it. Yeah. No, let's quickly deal with the second round. Mama will be number 1, Honorable Bibi. Then Honorable Mangu will be number 2. Mama.
Thank you, Baba.
Love you, Mama.
I love you too, Baba. Thank you very much, Chairperson. Greetings to the Mayor and all protocol observed. And I must say condolences to the Mayor for the loss and also to the family. No, Chairperson, I'm covered with the public works issue that was mentioned by Honorable Rekhai and also the role of provinces. I've got just 2 questions. The first one will be, I heard at the presentation that there was a school kid that was washed away by the floods. So I'm just checking, Honorable Mayor, that did you consult some social working for counseling to those families? And also the second one will be in your presentation you mentioned about the water shortage. So I just want to check to you whether how is your coordination into that? Did you provide any water tanks to the households? If yes, you did, how many were they? And also, just to check, with the water shortages, with your system, with the coordination of it. Thank you very much, Chairperson Baba.
Thank you, Mama. Honorable Mangu.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, colleagues. My name is Lisa Mangu. I'm a member of the National Assembly and a member of this portfolio committee. Chair, I will make a disclaimer that for audit purposes, I do know the mayor very well. We went to school together. Wow. In case the process is audited. And I join the colleagues, Sis Nombuzo, in extending our condolences. Now, in your presentation, you talk about the lack of or non-desalination of the river into the ocean. And I was sharing with colleagues before we came here, because I happen to know the town quite well, that even without coming here, I can tell you what the problem is, and that's exactly what you highlighted. Now, in my view, the long-term solution will lie in what National Department of Transport has identified as a port, small port for PSJ. The question, therefore, is, has there been any interaction with yourselves by the Department of Transport in terms of the development of this particular port? Linked to that, excuse me, would be the responsibility in that river obviously wouldn't be that one of the municipality. But you can confirm that and then say, in your view, as the co-chairs would have said, one of our responsibilities is to try and see how we can support you. Has there been any engagement with anybody who has the capacity to assist in the desalination of the river? Your Transnets, they've got that capacity, even your water department, if there is, so that it can give us some leads in that direction. Now you have already said Sanral are looking at assisting you in the second phase and so forth, which is unfortunate, but I think it's something we will take up as a committee. Now the bridge, the Umzimvubu River Bridge crossing towards the other side, whose responsibility is that? Because it falls slightly off the R61. If you are able to say so, because with what it's being battered with, one would want to make sure that should the undesired happen, we can know who is responsible for that breach. Now, the provincial roads you've already identified and all of the direct question would be, has the province given any response of their intention to assist you in those provincial roads that are damaged in your municipal area, so that we can also see exactly what interventions we can make there. Now, your electricity, you identified the need for electricity. I think the cost is around 115,000. What is there any involvement of ESCOM in assisting? Because in a national disaster, you'd expect even SOEs or national department to come into the play. In your presentation, slides were not numbered, but the heading was short-term infrastructure requirements. You mentioned the issue of assessment of households affected by disaster. There is no figure there. Detailed assessment of damaged infrastructure. There is no figure there. Clearance of blocked roads. There is no figure there. The figures that you have identified is flood line, and I think that's what Mr. Obose would have spoken to, the 5 million rand. Emergency housing 32, maybe that's HDA. Could we maybe, through you, Chair, have those figures that you are estimating for those other 3 items that I've picked up there? Now, if I go to the medium-term infrastructure requirements, you have listed it very well, direct costs. Now, when you say gabion protection, it's not very clear, and I'm sure it wouldn't be in a presentation of this nature, but would it be possible that we are furnished in due course of exactly where these gabion are? Is it on the R61? Is it on a provincial road? Is it on a municipal road? So that we are able, where possible, to press the buttons where the money should be coming from. And that will go for all of them. I will not repeat them. They've been properly detailed in terms of direct cost of infrastructure, and that is in your slide, medium-term infrastructure requirements. And the electricity would be in your long-term, the question that I had asked, where it is, which you had listed there. So with that, Chair, I want to also thank you for the opportunity. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next is Honorable Baha.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chair, I'll be brief and not like the previous speaker. Chair, qala masixolise kumama ngolahlekelwa ngumama wakhe sithi akuhlanga lungehlanga. Chair, just 2 issues from my side. One, I think that I want to support what Honorable Hlengwa raised in terms of environmental affairs to come and talk to us so that we get a sense of what they have that could assist in such situations. But the second one, Chairperson, is mainly around education. I think that there was mention of schools that have been damaged through the period of the storms or the heavy rains. Now, I want to get a sense of what is the situation there. Are the kids at school? If not, what arrangements are being made for them? And also, I think there was mention of clinics as well that could have been damaged somehow. I think the same question also applies to that one. And the last one, Chairperson, is this is a tourist area. And I think it's important to, as part of our additional responsibility in spite of looking for damages around the floods, to also talk to our sister departments that they can see how they can be able to offer assistance in areas like this one to enhance their tourist attraction status. Thank you, Chairperson. Gumbulelo Baja from the NCOP and a member of this committee. Thank you, Chairperson.
We are no longer recognizing me as a chair. We have got another chair that side. That was on a lighter note. Honorable Detroit.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. My name is Fani Retoy. I'm a member of this committee as well as the NCLP. Chair, through you to the Mayor, we also extend our condolences. I've been largely covered by all the previous speakers. Just 2 points that I want clarity on. With regards to the Greens farms, the gentleman did make mention that the people were relocated to another area that's 8 kilometers further. But I want to know, as the Mayor put it, that Greens Farm's Premier, has any steps been taken against him to prevent him from dishing out stands that he's not allowed to do? Because if that hasn't happened, that person is still doing it most probably. And I think that must be stopped. Chair, and one of the previous speakers also mentioned the land claims that is not finalized. Now, I've Googled it now, and I see that the young chief, Fonu, apparently some claims has been settled and 98% of the beneficiaries opted to get the funds for that. In his 11 villages and 25,000 people that stay there, there are unsettled claims. When is that expected to be finalized? Because the Mayor indicated that she wants development to take place, and according to this article, there are about 50 developers and resorts that want to develop this area, but they cannot develop it because the claim isn't settled. It's not finished yet. So is there a timeline that she knows about? That's all from my side. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Honorable Matiwan. I don't want to deprive you the opportunity. You can have one mic there. Chair of COPTA.
Chairperson, good morning, good afternoon now. My apologies for arriving late. I think the apology was shared. Condolences to one of my favorite mayors, Mamutino. Chair, I'm raising a disappointment first. That the Department of Transport comes to a meeting with members to explain that perhaps if the province was here, I think that should not happen. I'm saying this also to all the departments that are here, because they knew that there's going to be this meeting. They should have asked for any information relevant to the area we're going to. So transport, that's not acceptable. Just to share for honorable members of this committee that in the last recent budget appropriation for transport in the House early last week, we're made aware that R61 and other R road in the province will be given to Sandra. That's the intention. So the road that we're traveling from Antata to here will then be given to Sandra, and Sandra has already made that indication. It's matters of institutional and legal arrangements being concluded to make that happen. With regards to the road inside, coming from R1 inside town, that is a municipal road. Perhaps the question that we must ask Mamtingo and the team, with regards to the small town revitalization, is there no opportunity or budget envelope in that regard to ensure that you do the road using that allocation? Well, with human segment, thank you very much for a comprehensive report, Mr. Venn. This is what we want from provincial officials, to give us a sense of what they are employed to do. The small question I want to understand is zoom into Port St. John's. Because the disaster that hit Port St. John's was breaking news. So 6 or 7 months, National Parliament Provincial Legislature will be asking questions to the executives as to how far have they gone to resolve that which was in the national and public domain. With regards to Port St. John's, of the 300 plus homeless, how much have you procured for what? Is it for temporary housing solution? Which Mama Tingo correctly puts it, she knows my view on that. Is it on the, and how much have you done on the partial damaged houses? And what is the plan? If we have done very little, as you have said, made a qualification, you said for all time you have done very little. What then becomes to recover? Because we won't want to hear the same in August. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Matiwan. Mayor, the plan is to consider what has been raised by Honorable Hlengwa. Yesterday, we happened to have an opportunity where we had a meeting with the Minister of Finance, and it created a problem. We're very disappointed because we're left with an impression that municipalities, districts, provinces, they are not making the necessary submissions and issue of forms. So our plea now is to have what was submitted to Treasury so that we can be able to expose that bottleneck, that challenge, that incompetency at that level, because an impression was created that it's an issue of getting submission, but the submissions are not coming. But from the explanation from the engineer, technical guy, it's very clear that it was exactly the story explained by Honorable Hlengwa, that when they are making submission, then they say, no, try to tone down, take this out so that we can be able, they are using KZN as an excuse. When KZN that previous week, KZN, it was, we got an impression that they've done the necessary documentation. It was an issue of treasury that was failing them. So it will assist us, because my colleague has correctly captured it, that we're not on the
qualifying the mission, but want to live here with some serious solutions. I'm happy, Mayor, when you have the necessary support and all the necessary departments that are here. We can safely say, in agreeing with the district, that
the intention was not to spend much time in this boardroom, but to go and have a sense on the ground. So the team was able to note. So we'll expect a detailed response out of all the questions raised instead of spending another 30 or an hour. What we're going to do just now is to allow you, Mayor, to do your concluding remarks that will be taking us to the sites. But officials, they've noted what we have raised as members, and will be happy to get them. But that one of getting what was submitted to Treasury, it will be good for us to live with that paper so that we can be able to deal with it. Of course, we have planned a meeting where we'll invite all relevant stakeholders, because the challenge on the ground is not something that can be postponed for some months. Let me allow you, Mayor. Once again, let me also join to say you are leading by example, despite the situation you are in, but you felt that it's important, and you are not taking that for granted. And let the Almighty grant you strength in these difficult times till the day of the funeral, because we're made to understand even the funeral is next weekend. But we highly appreciate the level of competence and commitment. When we see people that don't take us serious, we are harsh to them. But when we see people that are respecting and understanding what they are doing, we always commend that. Your Worship.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. I thought my principals, they are not that my principals, but because they are in the district, I thought they'll sum up. But I I think Honorable Matiwana also has assisted in a lot of things which I believe are very important. We appreciate, as I said, some of the questions are questions that are enlightening us to make sure that we go deeper in doing what we are doing. It's not that we are ignoring the specifics of responding to them, but if it needs be, we will submit other written responses so that you also have into tangible. Trevor, can you confirm in this house the submissions again? You could stand up and confirm.
Yes, no, we did make submission.
To whom?
It was done to the district, and the district has to report.
We would love to have the submission. Yeah, we want to have that copy because we want to assist you.
Ngicela ke undifakele kwamna apha le submissions kwi-emails nami ndikwazi uba ndithumele ingamane kuthi ijike endleleni. Mr. Matsitsela ukhona nawe apha from the district, any knowledge of the submissions? Sorry, Chair, for taking your meeting. I'm used to chairing. Thank you very much. I don't know, Chair, how much time you have with us, because as Port St. John's municipality, we can take you from Ward 1 to Ward 20, which I said it's beyond Lusikisiki. But we don't want to do injustice to you. We would love to make sure that your visit has an impact. We would love you to visit Greens Farm because it's becoming and then we also take you to Nonyevu. There are 3 houses there that literally collapsed. Some people did not believe me when I was narrating that story on the television, that the first house on top pushed the second one, and they both pushed the third one. So they all went down the river. So we would love you to see what we were talking about. And we also have Ward 9, which I believe you can also visit. That's why I was asking how much time you have. You can also suggest Chief Whip now Speaker Mshamba, where do we take them? But we will depend on the time that you want to spend here. If it's an hour, we will take you to the places that will accommodate the hour, but we travel.
At least 2 hours.
Okay.
Yeah, we have 2 hours.
Okay.
No, it's always desirable the arrangement to have one group. Yeah, not unless we're going to another district, then was going to be 2 groups. But we're in one district, we are fine with one group. But you know the most affected one.
Yeah, no, I think it will be proper to take you to Greens Farm just to see Lendo Sitetangaya, the wetland, and also to Nonyevu, those 3 houses, maybe Ward 9. I think that will do, because some of these households are child-headed households, so we would love Banibon. Yes, so I believe if we take Ward 6 Lona and Ward 9, but it's a pity that my application for you to go to the airstrip, maybe it will be something for another day. But going to that airstrip might do something for us in the long term. The moment you are up there, I know the spirit of the Lord.
We are more than ready to be led to go to the sites, and we'll see how it goes. This one now, it's officially adjourned. We're on our way to the sites. Thank you.
If it's gonna give us problems.